and welcome to Flavourful Eats. Today we are celebrating November, the festivities of November with, we all have something happening in November, right?
It's Diwali, then there's Thanksgiving, and they're just a week apart this year, so it's going to be exciting.
And exciting that I have Avantika in our studio today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Hamshaji.
And we are celebrating November and all that it has to offer to us.
Absolutely.
So with that going, you're going to let us know what we're doing?
Yes, so I have 3 recipes for you today, and we are going to cook them in the order in which you would do if you were meal prepping this menu for your family. So first we're going to start with dessert, because this can be served warm at room temperature or chilled. So this is a take on a traditional dessert which is known as pumpkin halwa. But you are supposed to grate the pumpkin, cook it, and then roast it in a sugar and ghee syrup. My take is to substitute all of that with spaghetti squash, because once you have the cooked spaghetti squash, all you have to do is run the fork through it and the strands reveal themselves. Right. So, you know, we are going to save about 20-25 minutes of our time doing that, hopefully.
So this is now for anybody who wants to do quick cooking. So
yes.
We're doing a spaghetti squash halwa, we're doing a cauliflower gratin, and we're doing a roasted potato.
So the first thing you want to do is to wash it and then dry it well so that it doesn't roll as easily on the chopping board. The other thing we're going to do is, this is the toughest part of your vegetable, so we are going to take extra care in just slicing that off. Once we have that cut off, now the spaghetti squash I lucked out. This is fairly small. Usually you end up with something which is 3 pounds, so I suggest having a kitchen towel on hand just to get a firmer grip. And now we are going to go right through the center and try to cut it all the way to the bottom. Now I'm just going to turn it around.
So you see, it's not that hard to do it, but you have to have a sharp knife.
You have to have a sharp knife,
and
yes.
Strength.
And yeah, more than strength, just I think some, you know, patience.
Yes.
Don't try to rush through it.
Okay, before we go on with all of this, let us. So what Avantika is using today is a butternut squash, which is
a spaghetti squash.
Spaghetti squash. But if you didn't have a spaghetti squash, you could use a butternut squash, like she said, integrate it. So just because I use the wrong name, yes, we got a spaghetti squash. And
or pumpkin, you know. Try different winter squashes. Maybe you want to talk about the fancy ones you found in your garden this year.
Actually, you can make them with any one.
Yeah, I have cardamom pods, which I consider to be vanilla of India.
Oh, absolutely. So absolutely. So she has cardamom, and then she's using pumpkin seeds, raisins, and unsweetened condensed milk, and some coconut cream. Yes.
So the thing is that I want to keep it nut-free. That's why I'm using pumpkin seeds.
All right.
But feel free to use any nuts that you like.
Most people use cashew nuts.
Cashew nuts, almonds would be so good, and traditional as well.
Yes. Chiroli.
Chiroli, yes. It's such a rare thing here, but yeah, funny thing. It is the most underrated nut or seed. Really, you know, people frown upon it, but it does add a lot of taste to the curries as well, when you make a paste of it in combination with cashews.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely.
And then what you could do with the seeds, what I do is I wash it and I put some salt or whatever seasoning. My son tends to like it with smoked paprika.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got the very nice smoky taste with it. And as I said, any seasoning. Somebody wants sugar, you put sugar in there. Can you use it in your dish? Yes, lots of good things with that. So if you want to rinse that, and so now we have to pretend that you wash this thing and you're ready with this, right?
No, so I just want to let people know you can microwave it for 8 to 10 minutes, or you can roast it in the oven for 25 minutes.
What temperature?
At 350, but it really doesn't matter. Even if it was at a higher temperature, you just take it out 5 minutes sooner.
Okay.
So we're going to put this one away, and I have one which I which I have already prepped. And what I'm going to do is I am going to make 3 even cross sections so that our strands aren't too long.
Right.
And it's easier to cook. So there we go, just like that. The pumpkin has been grated and cooked in one go.
That's what you call smart cooks.
Well, we don't get this in India, but you know.
Yes, I did not see that in South Africa either, but maybe they are planting it now, who knows?
I'm sure if we get our hands on it in India, this would be the go-to choice. So now we have removed the meat from spaghetti squash, and Hamsha ji has been very kind to prepare an extra treat for us, which is going in the oven in just a second. So we will be having this as a snack on the studio in a few minutes, but let's get the recipe going. So here, instead of the traditional ghee and milk, I have opted for a vegan option, and I'm substituting both those ingredients with a single ingredient, which is full fat coconut milk. And what happens is, when it is full fat, it separates. So we are going to, you know, just skim off some of the fat portion.
Oil was already hot.
Yeah. And because I have untoasted pumpkin seeds, I am going to fry them in the fat right here. But if you had roasted ones, you wouldn't need to do this step.
So again, when you, after you cut them, take out the seeds, you can put the seeds separately and put this in the oven at the same time.
Yeah, when you're cooking it in the oven, it's, you know,
yes,
double dipping into one prep work. So just a minute for this one.
and again, the pumpkin seeds gives a powerhouse of nutrition. So it's
Yeah.
already nutritious. Yes, we're adding sugar, but you know, you can always add sugar to your taste. You know, if you are sugar-free, it's okay to have it sugar-free too.
Exactly. This is one of the desserts where you can use any sugar that you like. Like if you follow a keto diet, you can go in for monk fruit sugar.
So, but what I was going to say is, if somebody is has not been eating sugar of recent, and the smell here is just unbelievable.
And if you notice, the oil has taken on the green hue from the pumpkin seeds as well.
Yes.
We really have Thanksgiving going on right here.
I can smell it. Even if it's not traditional ghee.
Yeah. That's true. Something so familiar, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It was smelling like ghee. And this time we'll go in with all of our spaghetti squash.
Everybody's wondering, what can I do with my spaghetti squash? Yes,
I know.
you use spaghetti with your Italian seasoning. Oh, you can do a nice sweet dish this way. I'm sure you never thought of doing a sweet dish using spaghetti squash.
I somehow feel if there's vegetable involved, it's pretty much a side dish and not dessert. So while you're taking care of the squash for me, I'm just going to go ahead and cut up large florets for our next recipe. And from there, we have two choices. Either we can parboil it in salted water, or we can put it in the microwave for about 5 minutes with just a couple of tablespoons of water. And but do salt it well. This needs to be salted well because you know, this is pretty much where most of its seasoning is going to come from.
And it's a good idea if you're using an organic or any kind of a cauliflower to soak it in salt water first. So always wash your cauliflower in salted water to remove that. And again, instead of grain here, you're making it grain-free.
This is grain-free, and I'm going to use a gluten-free flour mix.
Okay.
But choice is completely yours. You can make your roux with white flour.
Okay.
So here, you'll notice I've cut them in fairly large florets. And we need this because we're first parboiling it, and then it's going to go in the oven for half an hour. So, we don't want it to turn to mush.
Absolutely.
So we'll keep them in larger pieces. So now we have our cauliflower all washed, cleaned, and then drained off. And I'm going to just steam this. Now when we add the last lot of the coconut cream, I'm also going to add in my cardamom pods because this is not powdered, this is the whole spice, so it'll take a while to infuse into my squash. And the other thing that I'm going to add are my raisins so that they drink up some of the liquid from our halwa and plump up.
From the current coconut.
Yes.
So if somebody is using ghee, do you use milk?
You will use, yes, full fat milk, please.
So you'll use like 2 tablespoons of ghee and like 3/4 cup of full fat
Right.
milk. So if somebody doesn't want to be vegan, that's
Yes.
the alternate. You use 3/4 cup of whole milk and 2 tablespoons of ghee.
And if you want to make it richer, like traditionally with all Indian desserts, we boil and reduce the milk a little.
Yes.
So I have reduced the heat to
medium.
Yeah. Now is the time we add coconut. Do you like coconut or? So this is a preference thing. So I'm going to add about, this is close to
2 tablespoons, I would say.
just about 2 tablespoons. And because our nutmeg is powdered, so again, we're adding it towards the end just to finish the dish. And sugar is to taste.
2 tablespoons of this?
Yes, we won't need more than 3 tablespoons for that
You were
quantity.
thinking 3, I was thinking 2. Did you put this in your processor or something? It's quite fine.
No, this is just the regular caster sugar.
Oh, castor. Where do you find castor sugar?
I thought all sugar is caster sugar, is it
No.
not?
So I got 2 tablespoons here.
Yes.
See, it's shining. So to me,
Right.
that's like enough sugar. But if somebody wants to add more sugar, you're welcome to it.
Yeah, just taste it and go.
I don't know. I mean, I just put the 2 without you as you went
I
to do something
think
else.
about 2 to 3 should be enough for this amount. If your squash was bigger, maybe my recipe calls for about 2/3 of a cup, but that is for
A bigger squash.
yeah, it's for a 2-pound squash. So that's all ready, and we are just going to sprinkle a few of these on. And then you can serve these on the side so that people can sprinkle as they go if they want some more.
Okay, so one dish is ready.
So this is a vegan, nut-free dessert option.
Okay. This is our vegan, nut-free dessert option by Avantika.
So now my cauliflower is steamed. I steamed mine in the microwave in about half a cup of water. I have about 2 cups of large cauliflower florets, and I have steamed it for 8 minutes.
Okay.
And we are going to drain it.
So you first cut it, chopped it up into little florets, and steamed it, and you're ready to go. And you're saving all the nutrients in your
Yes.
water.
So I just want to show that if you see this, the floret looks a little paler, but if you look at the stalk, that is still white. That is how you know it is parboiled. If it was fully boiled, which this one is, because I cut it at the stem, you can see that the stem would go translucent as well.
Right. Translucent cauliflower is fully cooked.
And the reason why we're parboiling it is because it's going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. So it'll finish cooking with a white sauce.
Right.
You know,
That's what a gratin is, always some covering over.
so, and the good thing about this dish is, it is pretty enough on its own. So we don't have to be too precise about laying our cauliflower too regularly. Just make sure that, you know, the stalks are towards the bottom because they'll take the longest to cook. So we just, that's the only reason why I'm going through this rearrangement. All right, now we are going to make just a basic white sauce. I'm using about 3 tablespoons of butter here. The recipe that you see is for twice the serving. I'm going to use
like 2 tablespoons.
I'm going to use some of this butter for the topping.
Okay.
So I'm going to melt all of this in one go, and then I will remove some. Yes, I have Gruyere and cheddar. And for my flavorings, I'm using cheddar cheese and a combination of Madras curry powder. If you like a crunchy topping on your gratin, which I think you should, you are going to have about a tablespoon or 2 of butter to coat your breadcrumbs in.
Okay.
And apart from that, I'm going to add, so the ratio is equal amounts of butter to flour. So I have about 2 tablespoons of flour here, and I have half a tablespoon of curry powder. Now, the thing with curry powder is dry spices, you don't put them directly in the oil. You'll always put them with another cooking medium, but we still need to bloom the spices. Otherwise, you know, if we add it towards the end of the sauce making process, it's going to taste very raw. So, by the way, now you can see that the color is changing. It went from yellow to this almost mustard. It's taken a stronger mustard hue. So now I'm going to add my liquids. And in this case, instead of salt, we are going to add about 1/4 of the cup of the cooking liquid that we used. So I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of that. And the rest of it is going to be full fat milk. Now, my milk is cold because it makes whisking easy. It will not create as many lumps. So that's just my personal preference. But if you want to use scalded milk, just go for it, and make sure you have your whisk on hand.
Quickly.
Yes, you need to be very, very prompt with it. Like, here you can see I took the lazy route, and my sauce is going to be fine. Then we would be going the strainer route. Now, I do not think I will need to salt my sauce because we use the cauliflower cooking liquid.
I think it's ready.
Yes.
Sure.
So we can see it's bubbling, it's pretty thick, and I'm just going to use my spoon to show you.
Yes, it must coat the back of the spoon and it's ready.
So there we are.
A good tip to know that your sauce is ready.
Now it's time to, now off the heat we will add in our cheese, and that's another reason why we're not adding too much salt, because we have a significant amount of cheese. That's
significant amount of salt in that cheese.
Yes. So if I were to go by weight, because this is freshly grated cheese, you know, it has a higher volume. I would say this is about, you know, about 1 cup or close to 4 ounces of cheese. But if you are buying pre-grated cheese, please be careful. It's been packaged. It's you know, it has condensed in its volume a little. So 1 cup.
It's also got starch added to it to put it to make sure it's separated.
So 1 cup may add in almost twice as much cheese.
There we go.
That looks absolutely perfect. Now that your cheese sauce is made, taste it for seasoning in the safest way possible. Do not dip your finger in, you'll pay the price. I find the need for just a bit of salt. So I'm adding close to about 1/8 of a teaspoon. And we do have enough spices going in there. That's why I haven't added any additional nutmeg or herbs or even garlic to it. But I think it could do with a fresh bit of black pepper, yeah.
You may want to adjust that.
I know, I can't. I just can't.
Okay, it's done.
One very lucky person is going to know there's pepper in it, and then there'll be the rest who won't know.
Okay, smells delicious.
So we have two of our components ready. We have the sauce and we have the cauliflower. And I'm going to request you to pour it over the cauliflower while I prepare the crispy topping for it, which is some homemade fresh breadcrumbs using, baguette, which was a little past its prime. I'm going to use some of the Gruyere cheese and the butter that we reserved earlier.
Okay, we're going to have a look to see what our cream sauce look like as we're pouring it.
Oh, that looks so good. All right, so for the topping, I'm just going to go in with, I'd say about 1/3 of a cup of crumbs. And I have just used fresh breadcrumbs because I had a bit of baguette sitting in my house, but choice is yours. You can use store-bought as well. I have about a tablespoon of melted butter here. And I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of my Gruyere.
Remember that Gruyere is a strong tasting cheese. If you're not too fond of strong tasting cheese, you can always use mozzarella. It's also a melting cheese.
Yeah, or you could add Parmesan on top, or just go with a little more butter and just the breadcrumbs. That's fine too. But this is the cheese we've used here,
Yes,
so
yes.
this optimizes our ingredient use. But should you be transporting it or preparing it beforehand, just prepare the sauce and the cauliflower in a tray and add the topping right before you're ready to bake.
Right.
This is going to go into a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes. So now we are going to move on to the potatoes and we're going to roast them in the easiest possible way. And my shortcut is to preheat a cast iron skillet. So this was in the oven while the cauliflower gratin was cooking, and it's super hot, and you can see we put in 2 tablespoons of oil and it has spread all over, and you can see it moves like water in this pan.
Because our pan is hot.
The pan is super hot. So all we have to do now is to just sprinkle some salt in the base.
Can I give you a trick? So before putting oil, if you sprinkle salt like that, it actually makes your pan non-stick. So whether you're using a
cast
iron
or
any other
not.
one. Yes, but this works too.
So I have just cut my little red potatoes in halves, and I recommend either red potatoes or the Yukon Gold. They are the best for roasting. So this is the only laborious bit that we want to make sure we put them cut side down to maximize the crisping. There we are, perfect. Now this is going to go back into a 400-degree oven for about 25 minutes, and we're going to just give them a turn at the 20-minute mark. So only in the last 5 minutes it will cook on the skin side.
Okay, so potatoes are busy in the oven.
Yes.
So in the meantime, you've got some condiments to chop up to put on the potatoes.
Yes. So as we all know, roast potatoes don't need any improvement.
Absolutely, just
But-
salt is it.
But having said that, I'm going to dress them in a very North Indian fresh herb dressing. And there is a significance to doing this when you're doing a large meal, because every herb here, and especially ginger, is a digestive. So it kind of works as a double duty. So I'm using 1 lime. And we have these from Hamshaji's garden, so they are as fresh as can be.
Yes, it just got picked up now, for sure. Both the cilantro and the mint. And the chilies and the ginger, again, digestive.
Right.
So they all help. So everything there complements one another.
Yes. So chilies are to taste, but we like them, so we are adding them. I also have...
Helps with metabolism.
Yes, I also have about 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, and there's salt to taste. Now we did salt our potatoes, so this is just going to be for the dressing. We won't need more than maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. Black pepper, and yeah, that's it.
That is it.
The thing is, when you're using mint, if you have the purple stalk, remove the stalk, but all the green stalk is fair game. So I'm just going to pick through this.
And with the weather being cold right now, so it feels a bit tougher, but really
Yeah.
mint is not normally very tough. You may want to keep 1 or 2 for your garnish if you'd like in the end. Just a suggestion.
Yes, I'm going to save this one because it has the most perfect little ones. So I'm going to pick my garnish from these, and I'm going to use the rest of these for chopping. The other thing is, you know, you can use these stems to make tea or just pop it into your steamed rice and it'll be so fragrant. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no need to waste it.
Absolutely.
But
I need to do an eco show with you. I love the idea.
But when you're doing coriander, unlike parsley, the stems are really soft. If you see, they snap like asparagus stems, and that's the sign that you use the whole thing. And
I use the whole thing.
stems pack in more flavor compared to the leaves. So we Indians use all of it.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to give this a rough chop.
And you've given a nice recipe with telling everything. So if you feel like you need to make some inquiries, always write to flavorfuleats@gmail.com and I'll be more than happy to answer. And soon to come, 7 spices.
Yes.
What's your contact details there?
It's going to be ActonTV. Yeah, the contact will be same as ActonTV. But you can find us on YouTube as well as on Facebook and Instagram. You can contact me through All Things Spiced. That's my handle on Instagram, and we can connect there.
All Things Spice.
Yes. Because there is nothing I feel that can't be improved with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even my mother jokes about it. Even my dessert has spices. All right. So again, ginger.
Your dessert did have spice.
My dessert did. Yes, it did.
Cardamom, everybody, almost all Indians use cardamom.
I live up to my name.
Tikka.
That is true. So ginger, if you like chewing on it, cut it as fine as you want. If you don't like its heat and only want to use it during the marination, just leave it in slices so that you can easily remove it. But I think we're going to go with a finer chop today.
Finer chop, or you can even grate it if you want to grate it, you don't really feel it in your mouth at all.
Yes, but that would release a lot more of the heat. So yeah, if you like the heat like we do, go ahead and grate it. The finer you grate, the more heat you'll get from it.
Yes, absolutely.
If you want it just for fragrance, then leave it in larger chunks. All right.
Here's a lemon squeezer in your side if you'd like.
Too late.
My good friend had showed me a very nice way to use lemons with the use of a fork.
Oh, that is true. Maybe I can use the back of the knife here, which is, again, I seem to have gravitated towards the most dangerous ways today.
If you cut it into 4s, it's kind of easy to, you can even squeeze it that way, yes.
But not today. Today I want to live,
My friend Claude does it so beautifully with this fork.
in the most dangerous possible way.
My audience know.
Right, so chilies, how much are we going for today?
Patrick is going to be eating some, so.
I'm just going to chop the end of the chili. If you want to control the heat, you can deseed it, or the other way to do it is to just go half the way, and as soon as you start seeing the seeds, move on to the next chili. That's the lazy way.
That's a smart way.
And you can use the other half to put in your stocks or other things. You know, I just put it in my dal, boil the whole thing, and remove it towards the end of cooking.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just going to crush some of the pepper. Okay, that looks about good to me. Now I'm going to add in just a little bit of salt just for this, and all of my cumin, which is also a digestive, so really, really good spice. And it's not particularly, it's not hot at all actually. So this is really what I consider gateway spices, you know, easy way to introduce it in your diet and get used to the flavoring and using of spices.
Absolutely. So this is our very nice roasted potatoes.
Yes, and I flipped some to show the color, and all we're going to do now is just, you can just toss it in the dressing. So I'm just going to place some of my fresh herb around with this dressing. And this keeps well too. So if you wanted to make this beforehand, the longer you keep, the more it will drink through.
The spices will absorb very nicely.
Dressing, otherwise I just carpet it all over.
You have done it.
I hope so.
A wonderful, sort of high calorie, but not as much as a regular.
I mean, it is the season of excess, so I kept the theme going.
Absolutely. And cut down here and there, which is good. So we're going to be having the gratin and potatoes as a main meal. You have this as your starters, which is actually the seeds from that
spaghetti squash
that we just put salt and pepper.
Right.
And put in the oven for about 350 degrees for about 15-20 minutes.
Yes.
And that was all the seeds that came out from that. So if you're not thinking of saving seeds for next season, this is the way to do it.
Right. Oh, you could save them and have your own supply of spaghetti squash. That would be awesome.
What you could do is you can take a few of it to save it for them and still make your little appetizer.
There we go.
So
I have to learn from you.
You take the, you cut the squash, you put this in the oven, and while you prepare the squash, this will get done. So your guest has something to nibble on while you're getting that cooked.
That's true.
And then you have your potatoes and your
cauliflower gratin
as your main meal.
Yes. So this would be really good as a vegetarian main dish as well.
Right.
But yeah, it serves as a potluck side, or goes well with any roast. So choice is really yours.
Absolutely. And again, a happy season.
A happy Thanksgiving to you too, and happy holidays to all of your viewers.
Happy holidays to everybody, and always available at ActonTV.org or our YouTube page. Thank you, Avantika.
Thank you, Hamshaji.
Till we meet again, take care, keep safe, and always remember, good nutrition is the way to good health.